Hello everyone, welcome. Alcor is pleased to welcome you all to today's webinar. Alcor is a global cloud advisory and implementation services company serving Fortune 500, government agencies, and other leading organizations in multiple industry verticals across the Americas, Canada, and India. Alcor is also a ServiceNow Gold Services and Gold Sales partner. We partner with leading technology companies, including AWS, FireEye, Microsoft, Okta, Incorta, and Big Panda. We advise leading businesses on cloud platforms, architecture, enterprise service management, and integrating IT service delivery. We also provide business process consulting to capture, re-engineer, and improve processes that can easily be automated to deliver real value. The Alcor consulting team has excellence in business strategy, cloud technology, and organizational change management. Our ongoing webinar series is designed to inform, enlighten, and start discussions within your own organizations. If you require any additional information after listening to today's webinar, please reach out to us through our website, www.alcortech.com. We have time reserved at the end of the webinar for Q&A, so please feel free to type any questions into the questions section of the dashboard. Today's webinar topic is Get Compliant with DocuSign Signatures for ServiceNow Approvals, presented by Padmapriya Ravishekhar. Padma is a ServiceNow Solutions architect with over 12 years of experience in ITSM, Service Portal, Asset Management, Orchestration, and integrations. Padma has completed multiple projects and architected solutions for customers in a wide variety of industries, including financial services and healthcare. Padma also has a bachelor's degree in engineering. I will now turn the webinar over to Padma.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for the great introduction. Today, we're going to talk about getting compliant with DocuSign signatures for ServiceNow approvals. We briefly talked about who we are. We're going to look into 21 CFR Part 11. We will understand DocuSign capabilities and how it can be integrated with ServiceNow. And a demo would follow shortly. Alcor is one of the top 5 ServiceNow partners in the continent, and we are constantly ranked 9+ on the CSAT scores. Our clients are across domains like healthcare, retail, financial services, who have regulatory and compliance requirements. Let's take a look at what CFR Part 11 is all about. 21 CFR Part 11 stands for Part 11 of the Title 21 under the Code of Federal Regulation. Section 21 CFR applies primarily to audit and compliance requirements. There are many industries like medical, pharma, food, and cosmetics that are heavily regulated. And why are they regulated? There is a good reason. Regulations are in place to track product quality, safety, and record integrity, everything that is necessary for public health. Consider a pharma company's quality management system that is used to manage and resolve deviations in drug testing. Validations of changes on such systems might not seem to be needed, but even if they're not directly involved in the corrective and preventive actions process of fixing deviations, they still need to be audited. And that is where a risk validation needs to be recorded with electronic signatures for compliance. That's the reason DocuSign comes into the picture. DocuSign is a provider of electronic signature technology, like everybody knows. It's fully compliant with many acts like eSign, VETA, HC, and HIPAA. HIPAA stands for Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. It facilitates exchange of electronic contracts and signed documents. Here is how DocuSign facilitates exchange of electronic documents between people and organizations. Nowadays, we have the convenience of being at home and sign a rental agreements using DocuSign. I'm sure each one of us might have done that. DocuSign provides a workflow around sharing and signing of documents adhering to security, encryption, and authentication standards. All the data that is stored in DocuSign is encrypted at rest. Let's look at how DocuSign helps with 21 CFR. DocuSign has a specific module for CFR that is pre-packaged and tailored with a functionality around specific requirements laid out by the FDA. It has gone through multiple discussions with industry experts to get the functional requirements match. Let's consider a medical professional being onboarded in the ServiceNow terms. There is a lot of verification process involved in different agencies and certification authorities to credentialize a person being onboarded. We also need to understand the meaning conveyed by signatures on a particular document. Does the signature mean that I'm authorizing an action, or am I approving a process after a due diligence and a risk validation, or it's just that I agree to any certain terms and conditions that is laid out in the document? So there are three main capabilities that DocuSign brings to the table: is the signature level credentialing, signature meaning what is the reason, what is the meaning of my signature on the document, and the signature manifestation, which is bringing together all the data related to my signature. This particular slide shows some highlights of the differences between a non-regulated user and a regulated user, and what DocuSign can provide in addition to a non-regulated user module. It can provide additional authentication. Signature manifestation meets the need of the audit by providing signature, the printed name of the person who is signing it, the reason, the timestamp and the time zone, and also a unique identifier to identify the signature. This is the person who has signed it. Let's look at the advantages of Alcor's integration solution now. ServiceNow, as you all know, can manage wide variety of processes like request management and change management that involve approvals. Our solution extends value of the ServiceNow investment by adding convenience to receive and track approvals via e-signatures. It can be easily configured for any workflow on any base table in the system or any custom table as well that supports workflows. It is packed with templates and watermarks that Part 11 e-sign is requiring. Our solution also provides data aggregation and dynamic document creation techniques. Like, for example, in a particular change request process, there can not only can there be one set of stages for approvals, but there can be multiple stages for approvals. And approvals can be gathered across CI items, and we have to have an aggregation to what is the data or content on the document that the approvers are going to sign. There are 6 basic steps for the integration in our solution. The first step is the template management. An organization can use the templates that are provided by Alcor or create any new ones. When we go into the document site, we can click on the new and create a new template, and also pull from any folder into the UI to make the document as a template. What a template means is actually it's a blueprint. The next step is to identify who is going to approve the document, or who is the user, who's the audience. Is there a single user or a group of users? ServiceNow can send dynamic list of users based on record in question. For such instances, we can create a group indicated as a workflow stage. So if you see on the document, this is a typical screenshot from DocuSign. We can specify the stage out here that is dynamically populating all the users' email IDs as comma separated values. Now the next step is to update the template with watermark technique. What we are doing here is we are dragging and dropping DocuSign fields into the template where the signatures will be filled. We can also add custom fields that signers can be asked to fill out. For example, I'm approving this document. I go in and place my signatures at this particular place, but I also have a field that where the user can type in the reason or the action that I'm doing, and am I authorizing it? So a string field that the signature meaning is provided. Here's a screenshot of the template with the DocuSign fields. So if you see the change request, short description requested by, these are typical fields on our change records, and they are part of the template. But then we also have these placeholders which can be created by these fields on the left hand side. And these placeholders are populated with the dynamic data that ServiceNow is sending through REST API to the document. The next step is to configure the REST API, and Alcor already provides the methods for the REST API. So the only part that would be needed is to update the interface key and any other configurations that are needed on the methods to send any additional information from the change record. So our solution currently works on a non-standard change as well as a standard change. The screenshot of our REST API, and the endpoint can be seen. Just the integration key would change, and the username and passwords that is applied as part of the HTTP header. The next step is to update the change workflow. Alcor is a gold partner in ServiceNow solutioning and can help understand the change processes and provide best practices to build the workflow. In its simplest form, the change workflow needs to be updated to trigger the bidirectional integration with DocuSign Part 11 for the process approvals. The script include provided by Alcor is already compatible with Flow Designer as well. And in case in future there is a use of the integration hub spoke for DocuSign, the script include provides additional functionality than what is provided in out of the box for the aggregation and also understanding the envelopes and then uploading the envelope into the ServiceNow. So this is a typical basic workflow, and we could extend the workflow to any levels. We could add error handling capabilities. We have not added this in the screenshot. It is just the basic, so that we explain how easy it is to just plug and play to your existing change workflows as well. So we are setting the approvers from the workflow, and then we are just triggering the REST message. All of that is taken care of by the script includes integrating with the REST methods, getting back the response, and then updating the change workflow from the background. The last step to this is how we update the results from our DocuSign into ServiceNow. So if there is an approval or if there is a rejection, and if there is any comments that users add, all of that information, how it flows back into ServiceNow is through inbound email actions. Now let's look at the demo. So for the purpose of the demo, I've created two users. One is Able Tutor, which is our favorite user for any demo, and Brian, who is another user on one of the CIs as an approver. So like I showed you on the slide, this is the REST message from DocuSign, the endpoint. The account ID would be modified, and then these are some HTTP methods that DocuSign provides. We have added a few from our end to contemplate with what the change template is, and then how we pass that information into the envelope. These are the inbound email actions that were created so that the information that comes back from DocuSign is used to update the change records. Let's go ahead and create a new change ticket. I will select the normal change to which my solution is integrated with currently. I'll also use a template just to populate all of this data. We know that the change request form is huge. So I select the template, all of this data has come up, and then I hit submit. Now, once I create this particular change ticket, I see that I have selected a CI in my template. I could add more CIs to the list. When I go into the CI, I have these two fields that are my current approvers in my workflow, the managed by and owned by. The CI can have any set of fields that can be pointed out by the workflow as an approver. So I'll go ahead and hit request approval. Now for this CI, there were two approvers, so both of them have come up here. Now if there were multiple CIs associated to the same ticket, all those approvers from those CIs would also appear here. On the schedule tab, I see the system approvers, system owner approvers that are present in the system. This is the interface that we provide for submitters to be able to change any system owner functional or technical approvers on the fly if necessary based on any changes or any additional requirements. Once the request is triggered for the approval, we would see some emails coming into both of these accounts. So when you go back to the change, Able Tutor is one approver and Brian Rowell is another. Set email IDs for these two people. So this is Abel's account, and yes. So there's a change email. This is a typical email that we receive from DocuSign. We have added this information from our templates to show what that email would contain. This is highly configurable based on the template that is provided. Now we also see there is a link for the rejection. This is a typical requirement in ServiceNow, where clicking this particular link would trigger an inbound email action into ServiceNow and reject the change. There is also a link for viewing the change request from the email. And let's go ahead and click on review document to see what ServiceNow has sent us. Now, when we see this email, the first thing is I'm agreeing to use electronic records and signatures. And I hit continue. Now, we see that there is an envelope ID created, and there is some red ink here. This will not be available in the enterprise edition. This is just for the demo. Now we see that all the data that was present in the change request has come out here. This is our change ticket number, which is present on the form, and all of the data is populated. Now let's say if there were multiple CIs selected, then all of the corresponding data would be comma separated. I will show at the end of the demo a different example which has multiple 6 set of approvers and multiple CIs. Now when we go down, we could also click and start here. It would directly take me to the place where Able is allowed to modify this document, and that is this section. This is controlled through hidden watermarks. Now, if you see, there were 2 approvers, but Able is the first person signing, so that's why he cannot see who else is there pending for approval. Once the signature is done, and I adopt and sign, I see there is a unique identifier created here. For enterprise editions, there will be additional fields like I showed on the slide. There will be a signature reason that the user has to type in, and other such fields that would be available. We are using a demo version of the DocuSign, that's why those fields are not available, but the slide provides that information. Now I click finish. I say no thanks, I don't want to save a copy. And then I go to Brian's email ID and I do the same action. Now when I am opening the document, based on the DocuSign workflow, I would see the signature that is already there on the document that Abel already signed. So I click on agree, I click on continue, I have the same document. Now this same document was sent to 2 different users and all the information was populated on the fly. Now when I go here, I see that Abel has already signed. I go ahead and sign the document and I hit finish. Soon after I do that, I would receive an email that the complete change process for approvals is done for this stage. Both Abel and Brian would receive a completed document copy of whatever they signed. Now when we click on the view completed document, it would have the complete document with both the signatures, but the most essential part of the DocuSign is the certificate, and that is available here. The view certificate section. I see that there is a certificate of completion. I have the time zone captured of when the certification was complete, and I have the signer events. What was the email ID used to sign the document? What was the IP address and other details? So for an enterprise edition, it would have other details under the same signature, like I explained, the signature reason and other information would also come up here. Now it is essential that this completion certificate is going into ServiceNow to update my ticket. Now I go to ServiceNow and see what is the status of my change. Just hit reload. And see if there is an update. So it does certainly take some time to do the update. By the time this comes up, okay, let's go back to the email and see. Okay, close from here. I'll also see what Brian received and hit close from here. And I go back to the change record to see if there are any emails that came in. For the approval. Okay, it should have come up anyhow. So we go back to the change record. I wanted to show by the time if there are multiple approvers, how would it show? So we see here that there are multiple CIs, and all of these CIs are having each approval. Like for example, Beth CI has 2 approvers, Asset CI has 2 approvers, and Annie has 2 approvers. So all of this information would go into one particular record and create this document for us. It would have all the names of the users, and if some users have roles, then the roles information also would come up here and the corresponding signatures. And it would get tied to the change record. Okay. By the time we saw that, this has gone into scheduled phase, and we see that the changes are approved, and we also see the document that DocuSign sent us. This is a complete document that was signed, and with the 2 signatures for the change record that we were working on, that is 40024 and the certificate and the timestamps on it as to when it was actually signed. So this is the update inbound email action that takes the document and then updates the records with approved and also attaches the documents into the change request. So that was the demo. You can go ahead and open up for any questions.
All right. Thanks very much, Padma. Very interesting. There are a few questions. I'll get to them in a moment. As a reminder, please use the question section of the webinar dashboard to answer a question on today's topic. Sorry, ask a question on today's topic. Padma, first question. Do I need to install any additional plugins?
The short answer is no. So as I said, this particular script include and the set of functionality that we are providing is available and pluggable to the core functionality that ServiceNow provides. So there is no additional plugin that is needed.
Okay, great. For the integration, would Alcor develop the inbound email actions, or is this something the customer has to complete?
As part of the solution, this complete inbound email action would be provided, and additional configuration can be done based on the consulting with our team.
Okay. Can this ServiceNow DocuSign integration be used with other catalog items, forms, that are routed through requested items?
Yes, the main purpose of this solution is to understand what 21 CFR is all about. It has credentialing that can that is needed for passing documents to various vendors, various users, and so the complete functionality is through the workflows. So the workflow can be attached to any table and doesn't need to be just for change. It can be applied for request items as well. So onboarding also is one of the key functionalities that this particular solution supports.
Okay. We've got two questions that are sort of the same, so I'll read them both. Is there a cost for the script includes and functionality, or is it free? And then the other question is there any additional cost or licensing requirement?
So I'll answer the licensing requirement first. So as part of the solution, we don't have any licenses to give away. It is code that has been written in-house, homegrown, and it can be availed by reaching to our sales team for the pricing for the solution. And if ITSM implementation or any change implementation is done as part of the consulting through Alcor, then we would provide this custom functionality as an add-on based on the hours needed for the configuration. To come back to the licensing point, you definitely need the DocuSign account for the enterprise edition, and based on your needs, you can avail the 21 CFR module by DocuSign, or you can use the non-regulated user version as well. And the workflow, the solution from our end can provide those additional details of reasoning to provide those additional fields on the form that the user can add.
Okay. All right. Can the sequence of approvers be customized and maintained?
Yes. So as part of the as part of the DocuSign workflow, there is a functionality for enabling sequencing, and the workflow provides functionality to do the same. So the stages can be controlled at various levels, and the users who get these envelopes can be controlled as well. Like I would first send it to Able, and once Able signs it, the stage would move forward, and then the second set of approvers would trigger who would get the envelopes. So that's how the sequencing can be controlled.
Okay. Where is the meaning of signature captured?
It is captured as part of the signature reason. And if a regulated 21 CFR module is purchased from DocuSign, that is available out of the box, and if not, then on the template, like we showed, we can add custom fields to provide signature reason. So when you saw Abel was providing signature for his section, we can also provide a custom field just below it for providing the signature reason.
All right. Can DocuSign be used on documents that are outside of ServiceNow or any other application?
Yes, so primarily what we want to see here is DocuSign is just there for storing our documents and the workflow management of it as to sending the documents to users. So the document, the first step that we went through was to create the template, and that template can be anything. It can be just terms and conditions that are nowhere related with ServiceNow. So the answer is yes. The template can be anything. Where we add value is to dynamically populate the template with some information from the change or the request or the list of users who are getting onboarded or the approvers or what the actual implementation of the process is, or the steps that a person is actually approving or authorizing action on. So that's the dynamicity that we are providing through the solution.
Okay, and then there's a related question. Can a document be sent outside the organization for vendors to sign any document? As
Yes.
example for vendors. Okay.
Yes. So as you know, in ServiceNow, there are vendor records, and then there can be email ID lists associated to it. So on your CI record or on a record in ServiceNow, if there is a relationship with the vendor, then the script include is capable of walking to the email IDs list, getting the email IDs and sending it to DocuSign to send those envelopes at runtime to those vendors. There is no need for the vendors to have a login into ServiceNow to authorize the action.
Okay, excellent. Is there any impact on system upgrades?
As part of any custom solutioning, we have tried to use best practices as much as possible, and we are continuously monitoring the solution as part of any new upgrades as well. So when a new upgrade occurs, basic sanity testing of the functionality needs to be done. DocuSign workflow is not something that is in scope for ServiceNow solutioning, but that's not going anywhere. So the DocuSign functionality that sends the documents to different email IDs is pretty static. So that doesn't probably need to be tested, but the only part that needs to be tested is how we are generating those email IDs and how the aggregation is happening across CIs to get multiple approvers and multiple stages, the sequencing. These are the certain steps that should be part of our unit test cases before rolling out a production upgrade.
Right. Okay. And last question, unless anything else comes in here. How does the solution for multiple workflow? How does the solution work for multiple workflows and templates?
Yes, so the template multiple mechanism used here is where we are replacing envelope details at runtime using watermark techniques. All approvers are dynamic based on the record selected. Process users or approvals and document changes are static. So the approvers section that we saw, that can be dynamic and that can be added to any base table in ServiceNow or any extended custom table as well. At runtime, the templates are used to create the envelopes. So for each change, if there is a document created, and if there are two approvers on the particular change or a request, a new document is created for that particular user record, and watermarks are used to populate that information. And these documents are sent via envelopes that are dynamically created. So the template is the key here. If we have templates and we can identify templates for change and we can identify templates for requests, then that is how we are implementing support for multiple workflows. So the the REST methods need to pass on the template ID that I'm using, and that's how we are supporting multiple workflows, multiple documents within the same table as well.
Okay. All right. And another question came in. If the vendor's email is not present in the CI, can it still be sent to a vendor for signing the document, or the email first has to be added to ServiceNow CI?
Now, so like I said, the vendor is a relationship with the CI. The vendor field would have a string field with the list of emails on it, and that string field can be used and passed on to the script to fetch those email IDs. And DocuSign at the completion of the signatures sends an email to ServiceNow. So it's not relying on the email IDs of end users to track the approvals. So that information can be done by creating placeholder users for vendors, and that is how the approval record would be updated based on the vendor record and approvals marked on the ticket.
Okay. I think that's all of the questions. Excellent. Very well done, Padma. Thank you very much. The recording of today's webinar will be available on our website, www.alcortech.com. And we will also send everyone attending today a link to the recording via email. So thanks everyone for joining. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you at the next webinar.
Thank you so much everyone for taking the time to join. Please reach out to Alcor for any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Padma.